22F, need advice about something that happened yesterday, but first I need to explain how I got here. I met Blake, 22M, during my sophomore year at university through our mutual friend Vivian. Vivian and I had been best friends since high school, and she met Blake in one of her classes. She thought we would be perfect together because we were both studying business and had similar interests. At first, I wasn't interested in dating anyone. I had just gotten out of a messy relationship with my high school boyfriend who had cheated on me with one of my classmates. But Blake was persistent in a sweet way. He would bring me coffee during study sessions, help me with my assignments, and always made me laugh. After 3 months of friendship, I agreed to go on a date with him. The first year of our relationship was almost perfect. Blake was attentive, caring, and seemed to understand me better than anyone else. My parents loved him because he was polite, had good grades, and came from a good family. His parents welcomed me into their family right away. His mom even gave me a key to their house and insisted I come over for Sunday dinners. Blake was always honest about his past. His previous girlfriend of 3 years had cheated on him with his childhood best friend Tom. He caught them together at a party and it really messed him up. He told me this early in our relationship, explaining that he sometimes struggled with trust because of it. I completely understood because of my own experience with cheating, so I went out of my way to make him feel secure. I showed him my phone whenever he asked, let him know where I was going and who I was with, and even stopped talking to some male friends because it made him uncomfortable. Looking back, I realized these were red flags, but at the time I thought I was just being a supportive girlfriend. The first real problem came 6 months into our relationship. I woke up one night to use the bathroom and found Blake sitting on my couch, going through my phone. He had used my fingerprint while I was sleeping to unlock it. I was upset, but he started crying and saying his anxiety was really bad that night because I had been texting someone named Chris, my cousin, a lot that week. After talking it through, I told him I understood his insecurities but going behind my back wasn't okay. I made it clear that if he ever wanted to look at my phone, all he had to do was ask and I would happily show him. He promised it would never happen again, and I believed him. Things were good for a while after that, but small controlling behaviors started creeping in. He would question every male who liked my Instagram posts. He got upset if I took more than 30 minutes to reply to his texts. He wanted to know who I was Snapchatting and why. When I went out with friends, he would constantly check my location on Find My Friends. Still, I made excuses for him because other than these trust issues, he seemed perfect. He was working on his insecurities, or at least I thought he was. He would talk about how therapy was too expensive but he was reading self-help books and watching YouTube videos about building trust in relationships. Yesterday everything changed. I was at his apartment, sitting on his couch wearing a skirt and working on my laptop. I was focused on a project due next week and wasn't really paying attention to what Blake was doing. I noticed him holding his phone kind of oddly a few times, but I didn't think much of it because I trusted him completely. Something felt off though, so I asked if he was recording me. He said no immediately, but his voice had that slight shake it gets when he's lying. I let it go at the moment but asked again later when we were having dinner. Again, he denied it. That's when I asked to see his phone. He got really defensive, which was strange because I had seen his phone plenty of times before. After I kept insisting, he finally broke down. He admitted he had been taking pictures up my skirt without my consent. When I pressed further, getting more upset by the minute, he confessed this wasn't the first time. He had been doing it for months but usually deleted the pictures afterward because he felt guilty. The worst part was when he explained why he did it. He said he used them for personal pleasure when I wasn't around. He had dozens of pictures of me in vulnerable positions, changing clothes, getting out of the shower, sleeping. All taken without my knowledge or consent. I was completely devastated because we had explicitly talked about inappropriate photos before. Early in our relationship, he had asked if I would send him some revealing pictures. I told him I wasn't comfortable with that kind of thing because my ex had shared private pictures of his previous girlfriend with his friends. Blake had seemed to understand and respect that boundary completely. Now I find out he's been violating that boundary and my trust for months. We had a long talk where he broke down crying, saying he was ashamed and sorry. He blamed his insecurities again, saying he felt like he needed to have these pictures to feel close to me when we weren't together. He swore he had never shared them with anyone and that he always deleted them after a few days. He begged me not to leave him and promised he would never do anything like this again. I left his apartment and went straight to Vivian's place. She was furious when I told her what happened. She reminded me of all the red flags I'd ignored, the phone snooping, the constant location tracking, the jealousy over male friends, the controlling behavior about social media. She said this wasn't about insecurity anymore, it was about power and control. I've been staying at Vivian since yesterday. Blake has been calling and texting nonstop. His messages swing between desperate apologies and accusations that I'm overreacting. His parents called too, saying he's devastated and that everyone makes mistakes. They think I should give him another chance because he's really sorry and willing to work on his issues. My parents are divided on what I should do. My mom thinks I should work it out with Blake since he seems genuinely sorry and we've been together for 2 years. She keeps saying relationships take work and everyone makes mistakes. But my dad is furious. He wants me to press charges and says what Blake did was sexual assault. I keep thinking about all the times I was vulnerable around him, all the times I changed clothes or slept over, trusting him completely. Now I wonder how many times he violated that trust. How many pictures did he really take? Did he actually delete them all? How can I ever feel safe around him again? I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. Part of me still loves him and wants to believe he can change, but another part is disgusted and feels violated. I'm considering pressing charges, but I'm scared of what that would mean for both of us. We have all the same friends, go to the same university, our families know each other. Am I overreacting by considering ending a 2-year relationship over this? Should I press charges? I feel lost and could really use some outside perspective. Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Reading your responses helped me realize I wasn't overreacting and gave me the courage to do what needed to be done. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks, and I need to share it. After staying at Vivian's for 5 days, I decided to end things with Blake. During those 5 days, he kept bombarding me with messages. He would switch between apologizing profusely and guilt-tripping me about abandoning him when he needed me most. He sent me long paragraphs about how he was going to change, how he would do anything to fix this, and how he couldn't live without me. His parents also kept calling. His mom even showed up at Vivian's apartment one morning with breakfast, trying to convince me that Blake was just going through a rough time. She said he hadn't been sleeping or eating since I left, and that as his girlfriend, I should be more understanding. Vivian told her to leave and threatened to call the police if she came back. I finally agreed to meet Blake at a coffee shop near campus to end things properly. Vivian sat at a nearby table just in case things got out of hand. When I told Blake it was over, his reaction confirmed I was making the right decision. He started crying at first, begging me to give him another chance. When he saw that wasn't working, he got angry. He said I was being cruel and heartless, that I was throwing away 2 years over one mistake. When I reminded him it wasn't one mistake but months of violations, he said I was exaggerating to make him look bad. After I left the coffee shop, things got worse. Blake started telling our friends a completely different version of what happened. According to him, I had known about the pictures all along. He claimed I had even posed for some of them willingly, but now I was suddenly acting like a victim to ruin his life. He said I was doing this because I had found someone else and needed an excuse to leave him. Some of our mutual friends actually believed him. People I had known for years started sending me messages calling me horrible names. They said I was destroying Blake's life over nothing, that I was making a big deal out of some harmless pictures. One girl even said all boyfriends take pictures of their girlfriends and I was being a prude. The real bombshell came 3 days ago when I got a message from Amy, Mark's girlfriend. Mark is Blake's best friend from high school, and Amy and I had hung out a few times but weren't close. She asked if she could come over to Vivian's place because she needed to tell me something important in person. When Amy arrived, she was clearly upset. She showed me her phone, specifically some messages she had found on Mark's phone. Blake had been sharing the pictures he took of me with Mark. Not just 1 or 2 pictures, but dozens of them. They had been exchanging these types of pictures of their girlfriends and other girls for months. Amy was devastated because she found pictures of herself too. I felt sick to my stomach. Blake had sworn to me that he never shared the pictures with anyone. He said he deleted them right after taking them because he felt guilty. But here was proof that he had been lying. He and Mark had been treating this like some sort of sick game. I confronted Blake through text about sharing the pictures. His response showed his true colors. He said if I went to the police, he would tell everyone I had given him permission to take and share the pictures. He said he would make sure everyone knew what a liar I was. Then he threatened to send the pictures to my family and my internship supervisor if I tried to ruin his reputation. Vivian and Amy convinced me to document everything. We took screenshots of all the threats, saved all the messages where he admitted taking the pictures without consent, and backed up the evidence Amy found on Mark's phone. Yesterday, we went to the police station together to file reports. The female officer who took our statements was incredibly understanding. She said this kind of blackmail and revenge porn threat is sadly common, but they take it very seriously. She also mentioned that since Blake shared the pictures without consent, it violates several laws. When Blake's parents found out about the police report, they completely changed their attitude. Instead of begging me to forgive Blake, they're now saying I'm making everything up for attention. His mom called my mom and said I was mentally unstable and needed help. She said Blake was the real victim and I was trying to ruin his life because he wanted to break up with me. Thankfully, my parents are now fully supporting me. Even my mom, who initially wanted me to work things out with him, is furious after hearing about him sharing the pictures and threatening me. My dad went to Blake's house to confront him, but thankfully Blake wasn't home. I really don't need this situation getting more complicated. The police are investigating both Blake and Mark. They've seized their phones and computers, and they're taking this very seriously. I've also spoken to a lawyer about getting a restraining order because Blake keeps making new social media accounts to contact me after I block him. He's also been getting his friends to message me, either to beg me to drop the charges or to harass me. This whole nightmare has shown me who my real friends are. Most of our mutual friends have chosen sides, either they believe I'm lying for attention, or they're horrified by Blake's behavior. Vivian has been incredible through all of this, letting me stay with her and supporting me every step of the way. Amy's willingness to come forward with what she found really helped strengthen the case against Blake and Mark. I'm still processing everything that's happened. I never imagined Blake could be this kind of person, capable of not only violating my trust but also threatening and trying to intimidate me. I'm scared about what might come out during the police investigation, but I know I'm doing the right thing by standing up for myself. I'll update again when there are new developments. Right now, I'm just trying to stay strong and focus on my classes while letting the police do their job. Update 2: The situation has exploded far beyond anything I could have imagined. The police investigation uncovered something much darker than just the pictures Blake took of me and Amy. They found a private Telegram group where Blake and Mark had been sharing inappropriate pictures of multiple women for years. Some were their ex-girlfriends, some were female friends who trusted them, and some were even girls they barely knew. When the police seized Blake's computer, they found folders organized by women's names. My folder had over 200 pictures taken without my knowledge over our entire relationship. But I wasn't even close to being his only victim. They found pictures of at least 5 other women. The detective said there might be more they haven't identified yet. The most shocking discovery was that one of the victims was Blake's cousin Emma. She's 19 and had stayed at Blake's apartment for 3 weeks last summer while doing a college visit program. The pictures of her were different. They were taken while she was sleeping. When the police contacted her, she broke down and revealed something horrible. Blake had been touching her inappropriately while she was asleep. She said she woke up once to him doing this but pretended to still be sleeping because she was terrified. She never told anyone because she was ashamed and afraid nobody would believe her. The investigation also revealed the full extent of Blake and Mark's operation. They had been doing this since high school, starting with their first girlfriends. They had a system. They would gain a girl's trust, take pictures without consent, and share them with each other. The messages they exchanged about their victims were disgusting. They treated it like a game, comparing techniques for taking secret pictures and bragging about their collections. Both Blake and Mark were arrested last week. When news of their arrests spread through campus, 3 more girls came forward with similar stories. 2 were Blake's ex-girlfriends from high school, and 1 was a girl who had briefly dated Mark last year. The university has suspended both of them pending their own investigation, as many of the pictures were taken on campus property. The most surprising change has been in Blake's parents' attitude. When they learned about Emma, they finally stopped defending him. His mom came to my apartment crying, but I refused to see her. She left a letter apologizing for not believing me and for raising a son capable of such horrible things. She wrote that she had always known something was off about Blake's relationship with women but had chosen to ignore the signs. She also revealed that she had found inappropriate pictures on his computer when he was in high school but believed him when he said his girlfriend had sent them willingly. Our entire friend group has fallen apart. Those who initially sided with Blake and called me a liar are now sending apology messages. They're saying they had no idea about his true nature and feel terrible for not believing me. One girl, Rachel, who had been particularly vocal about me making false accusations, revealed that Blake had also taken pictures of her at a party last year. She never reported it because she thought nobody would believe her since she had been drinking. The university is now conducting a full investigation into both Blake and Mark's campus activities. They're particularly concerned because Mark worked as a resident advisor at one of the freshman dorms last year. They're trying to identify more potential victims. The hardest part of all this has been reading the messages Blake and Mark exchanged about me. The police had to show me some of them as part of their investigation. The way Blake talked about me, like I was just an object for his entertainment, made me physically sick. He had been playing a role our entire relationship, pretending to be this sweet, insecure guy who just needed extra reassurance, while actually being a predator who got off on violating women's trust. Emma and I have been texting a lot. We're both dealing with similar feelings of betrayal and violation. She said she always looked up to Blake as a big brother figure, which made his actions even more traumatic. We're planning to make victim impact statements at the hearing next month. The preliminary hearing is scheduled for next week. The prosecutor says there's overwhelming evidence against both of them, especially with the additional victims coming forward. Blake's lawyer has apparently approached the DA about a plea deal, but I don't know the details yet. I'll update again after the hearing. Right now, I'm just trying to process everything while helping the police identify other potential victims in the photos they found. It's surreal to think that what I thought was an isolated incident with my boyfriend turned out to be part of a years-long pattern of predatory behavior affecting multiple women. Update 3. I've spent a long time thinking about whether to write this final update, but I feel like I owe it to everyone who supported me through this nightmare. The legal proceedings are finally over, and I can share what happened. Blake and Mark both took plea deals to avoid a full trial. Blake got 3 years in prison plus 5 years of probation. He had more charges because of what he did to Emma and the evidence they found on his computer. Mark got 2 years with 3 years of probation. They both have to register as sex offenders, and they're banned from ever working in education or any field involving access to private spaces. The university expelled them both after their own investigation found evidence that they had used Mark's position as an RA to access girls' dorm rooms. 3 more victims came forward during the university investigation, bringing the total to 11 women. The school offered counseling services to all the victims, but honestly, that felt like too little too late. Emma and I have become surprisingly close through all of this. We started a support group for victims of similar crimes, working with the Campus Women's Center. It's been healing to help others while working through our own trauma. Last month, we were asked to speak at a freshman orientation about digital privacy and consent. It was hard, but if we can prevent even one person from going through what we did, it's worth it. I transferred to a different university 2 hours away to get a fresh start. I couldn't walk around campus anymore without wondering who had seen those pictures or who still believed Blake's lies. Vivian actually transferred with me. She said she couldn't stay there either after learning what our supposed friends were really like. We got an apartment together and it's been really good for both of us. Blake's parents still try to contact me occasionally. His mom keeps sending letters apologizing and asking to make amends. She sent one last week saying she's in therapy trying to understand how she missed the signs and enabled his behavior. I haven't responded to any of them. His dad had a heart attack shortly after Blake's sentencing. Apparently, the stress of everything was too much for him. I heard this from Emma, who still talks to them sometimes because they're family. The hardest part has been dealing with the lasting effects of everything. For months, I couldn't wear skirts or dresses. I still get paranoid when I see someone holding a phone near me. I've had panic attacks in changing rooms, wondering if there are hidden cameras. Dating seems impossible right now. The thought of being vulnerable with someone again makes me feel sick. But there have been positive changes too. I'm more assertive now. I've learned to trust my instincts and set firm boundaries. I've cut off everyone who doubted me or tried to make excuses for Blake's behavior. My relationship with my parents has actually improved. They've really stepped up to support me since realizing how wrong they were to suggest I give Blake another chance. One unexpected outcome was that Mark's girlfriend Amy and I have become good friends. She moved to the same city as me to start fresh too. We meet for coffee every week and talk about moving forward. She's started dating again recently, which gives me hope that maybe someday I'll be ready too. The support group keeps growing as more women come forward with similar stories. It's heartbreaking to hear how common this is, but empowering to create a space where victims can support each other. We're working with a lawyer to create resources for others going through similar situations. I won't be updating again. This chapter of my life is finally closed. To everyone who supported me through this, thank you. And to anyone going through something similar, trust your instincts, document everything, and don't let anyone make you feel crazy for standing up for yourself. As hard as everything has been, I know I made the right choice that day when I decided to go to the police. Sometimes the hardest decisions lead to the most necessary changes.